So we're heading out into Zagreb to do a free walking tour today. This is really popular in Europe. We've done this in most cities we've visited.
Like we've probably done 20 of these over the course of the
but they're really
last
nice to like help you get your bearings, kind of figure out the city, and also learn some history and like little interesting tidbits. So while we're out, one of the biggest things that we always want to know when we're visiting a new place is what is the cost of living? How much does food cost? How much does an apartment cost? So we thought we'd cover some of those basics today.
Yeah, especially after the last video where we just made a comparison of how expensive RV life is to domestic life in the US. We want to now show you what is life in Zagreb. This is the capital city of Croatia. How much does life cost here? So we'll give you an idea of accommodations, which we've already done, the house tour, the apartment tour.
Yeah, we'll link to that in the description below.
But to give you an idea of food too, because that's a big thing, food, coffee, beer, etc. We'll run through that next.
All right, we just grabbed a little bite to eat. It's actually the day after Easter Monday, and everything is still closed. So we just stopped at this cafe about like 200 meters from the main square. I got a croissant, a coffee, and an orange juice for 34 kuna, which comes out to roughly $5. Charlie got an omelet. It was 28 kuna, which is
$4.
Yeah,
a little over
about $4. So not too bad considering where we are. Finished up the walking tour. It was about 2 hours. Really good tour though, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't cover a lot of ground, but we got a lot of history, which was what we were after anyway, so It worked out perfect.
So we built up an appetite. We're ready for some lunch. We're hoping to go find like a good place to get some good like traditional food to show you, but since everything is closed, we don't know what we're gonna find. So fingers crossed.
We are right now at this place called Medvedgrad. I think that's the best I can pronounce it. There's actually 2 locations, and it's a brewery slash beer garden slash restaurant. And we didn't expect them to be open on the day after Easter, but it turns out they are. So we were gonna grab a beer and probably something local.
All right, so I decided to order the Tragansi. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's kind of like a local traditional pasta with cheese sauce. It sounded like macaroni and cheese, so it sounded right up my alley. It is 45 kuna, I believe, which comes to roughly under 7 US. Charlie got the like minced meat sandwich. I think they call it a bear paw. His was 30 kuna, and that is right under $5 US. And then of course Charlie got a half-liter beer. It's like their craft beer, really, really good beer. That was $2.70. And I got a coffee with milk, 10 kuna, which is about $1.50.
All right, we just got the damage here, 121 kunas, which is about 18 bucks, something like that. That's for 2 meals, as you guys saw already, 2 beers and a coffee. So 18 bucks at I would call this not maybe an upscale restaurant, but a upper middle class restaurant, something like that. It's a beer garden slash brewery, so you get an idea of what it's like. Definitely not street food, and definitely not the highest end, so somewhere in between. For roughly 18 bucks, you can have lunch or dinner. Well, we didn't get to show you the spa yesterday because everything was still closed the day after Easter. So we're gonna head in now, get some groceries for the week, show you around, give you some idea of prices, and then we'll show you exactly what we got and how much it costs.
Our total damage was 137 kuna, which is roughly $20. This is all that we got for that. Just a couple examples, like this ham, a pack of ham was about 8 kuna, which is about $1, probably 20 US. You don't really get as much. They're much smaller packets than we would see in the US. I'll put up some other examples just so you can see for comparison's sake. But a couple things I wanted to note about grocery shopping in Europe. It is a little bit different. Number one, you don't get nearly the selection that you get in the States. You go into an American grocery store and you've just got like aisles of potato chips, aisles of cookies, So many different options. You don't really see as many options here in Europe. Number two, fruit and produce, you actually weigh yourself and get your own little price before you go to the register. They don't do that for you at the register. That's something that we learned a few years ago when we were here, the hard way when we were holding up the line because the cashier had to go get all of our prices for us. And number three, the bags. Bags pretty much all across Europe, we've noticed, are not free. You either bring your own or you pay. I think it was about 80 cents kuna for a bag, which is hardly anything in the US, so it's really not much, but it's something to consider. Also, there are no people bagging your groceries. You're usually bagging them yourself. So just wanted to give you an idea of what grocery shopping in Europe is like. All right, we showed you a couple touristy spots to eat yesterday. We wanted to show you something a little bit more local. We found this place. This is right below our apartment, and it seems to be definitely more of a local spot. We haven't seen many tourists in here. It's kind of a cafeteria style where they have different main dishes, different side dishes, soups and salads, and it changes every day. So we've been coming here quite a bit. Today we both got a chicken with a side of rice, and the damage was about 75 kuna, which is just about $11.
Aside from keeping the belly full, the next biggest thing for us is connectivity, and we still work online, so being connected to the internet is a pretty big deal. So one of the first things that we did when we arrived into Zagreb was check out what can we get in terms of a cell phone plan with internet. One of the biggest carriers happens to be T-Mobile, which we carry from the States. But what happens with T-Mobile from the States is once you get outside the States, they throttle your internet speeds down to 2G or 3G, which is just unbearable for the type of work that we're doing. So we needed to get a local plan. We went into T-Mobile, which is here in Croatia. There's 2 or 3 carriers. T-Mobile is one of the biggest ones. They're all roughly the same cost, and our Uber driver told us that T-Mobile has the best coverage, so that's who we went with. We went inside and found out that basically you have 2 options. You can prepay for a week, which is about 85 kunas, which is $11 to $12. That's a weekly rate for internet only, but it is 100% unlimited. Or the other alternative is you can pay 85 kunas as well, again 11 or 12 bucks, and that is for a month plan that gets you 6 gigs of data, 1,000 minutes, and 1,000 SMS messages. But that plan does work throughout the EU, whereas the weekly plan only works in Croatia. So it depends on what you want. We personally were going to go with the weekly plan because we wanted the unlimited data, because we could use that locally if we were in a coffee shop and the internet went to crap. At least we could flip over to a hotspot, which I made sure to ask her and be clear that we could use this as a hotspot, and she said absolutely, it's 100% unlimited.
Yeah, and speaking of Wi-Fi, so we like to go scope out the local coffee scene and cafes when we are in a new city. We like to find places that we can work for a few hours, that have good coffee, that are laptop friendly, and that have great Wi-Fi. That has been a little bit more difficult in Zagreb, mostly because they have what they call cafe bars, and these are cafes that serve coffee drinks and alcoholic beverages, which is actually a good thing for us because
normally it would be a great thing.
Yeah, I love my coffee and he loves his beer, but here smoking is legal inside, so many people go to the cafes and smoke and drink, and it's just not like an optimal work environment when we are inside trying to get some work done. So trying to find a place that does not have smoking inside has been a little bit difficult, but not impossible. We found 3 different cafes that we've been frequenting often. The first one is Velvet, which is right near our house, so it's super convenient.
It's the biggest of the 3 that we've been to in terms of size. It's not the most comfortable, but it gets the job done, and we found that the internet is the most reliable.
Yeah, it's the most consistent. Number 2, for the best coffee in Zagreb, I would say go to Cogito, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but they definitely have the best coffee if you want to get a latte or a flat white. And the workspace is pretty small, but they do have a nice big community table. If it's not busy, we can usually grab a spot there.
The coffee is way better there. The work spot is really good as well. Inside it's small, but there's plenty of space with that big table. The internet is the fastest we found, but you have to be inside. If you try to work outside, it's definitely not gonna work.
Yeah, for sure. And number 3, our other favorite is Kawa, which we discovered the first time we were in Zagreb. And it's a great space, plenty of room where you can find to work. The only issue is the internet.
Yeah, I mean, of all 3, it's my favorite in terms of comfort, and it's 2 stories, so you can go upstairs and work and be away from everyone, so it's really quiet. But the internet this go round, even last time, it's just been dismal. Like, it either works or it's just crap.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get there and try to get in a groove, and then the internet just goes to shit. So we haven't been back. We've only been there once this go around. And last time we tried to go there a lot, but we found that the internet is just not that great. So aside from connectivity and feeding our bellies, we try to stay in shape while we're on the road. So as soon as we get to a place and we know we're going to be there for longer than a week, we want to scope out the gym scene to see if we can get a membership for a week and try to stay in shape. We try the best that we can, but we're eating a lot of local foods and a lot of stuff, and it's really easy to get fat while you're on the road. So we went and checked out actually 2 different gyms, and it was actually more difficult than we thought it was going to be here. And a lot of that has to do with the memberships and the duration of the membership. So the first one we went to was Forma Fitness, right?
Yeah, which is pretty centrally located. So it is really convenient, and it seems to be one of the most popular options. The prices were about $260 a month kuna for one person. Which is about $40, or if you did a family plan for 2 people, it was 400 kuna, which came out to $60, so about $30 a person.
Yeah, and that's for a month, and we only need 2 weeks, so there was no discount for 2 weeks versus a month, so we were paying $60. And just to make the comparison back home, we belong to Anytime Fitness. For those that don't know, it's a chain of gyms across the US. It's 24-hour access. We paid $62 a month for both of us, and we could use any gym in the network any time of day. So to pay $60 for this gym just didn't really make sense. Not to mention, it was relatively small and super cramped. We went at like 11 in the morning to check it out and just kind of get a feel for it, and people were on top of everyone, and it's just not really what we were looking for.
So instead of joining the gym, we decided to get our exercise in other ways. For one, we are walking everywhere, which is really nice, and also our elevator only works like 25% of the time, and we're on the 5th floor, so we're taking the stairs a lot. So we are getting our exercise in other ways. And speaking of,
I was just about to say that, public transport.
Public transport. So Zagreb is a very, very walkable city. You can get almost anywhere in the city center in like 20 minutes on foot. So we definitely recommend that as the best way to get around. But if you do want to take some transport, they have public buses and trams. They're super cheap. I think it's 4 kuna per ride for a 30-minute ride, and that is roughly 60 cents, or you can do a 60-minute or 90-minute for $1, $1.50. And they also have daily and monthly rates.
Yeah, that's something different for me, is to pay for the time, not the leg. Like normally in the US you pay for your distance, like how far you're gonna go. Here you pay for time, so you can jump on one tram and then get on another. It's all the same, 30 minutes, and it's on your honor once you get on the tram to validate the ticket, and then you're good for however long you've paid, and you can get on however many different trams you need to get on.
Yeah, for sure. And so if you're coming from the airport or doing like a longer distance, they do have taxis, or what we prefer is Uber. We found Uber works the best in most cities just because it's so streamlined. If you have the app, you can get on. You don't have to worry about dealing with cash, and it's usually always cheaper. And also, taxis in Europe don't have a great reputation, so they can be quite scammy. So we always just take an Uber from the airport to our apartment, which was about a 15-minute ride. Cost us 95 kuna, which is approximately, what did we say, $14? And when we switched apartments, we went about 1.5 kilometers, and that was roughly $2 US. So really, really cheap.
I think anything within the city center is under $5. I mean, it can't be much because you're not going that far. But again, that airport was a good 15-minute ride outside the city center. And we've also found that most of the Uber drivers are also taxis. So you might as well just use the Uber app, and you know where you're going, and you know the payment up front. There's no game playing in between.
Yeah, exactly. So that is a wrap of this video. We hope that you guys found it helpful. We hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. And if we missed anything that you would like to know, drop us a comment, and we will catch you guys in the next video.